Feeling sick on a cruise is the fastest way to ruin your vacation, and it's more common than you think. In this video, you'll learn how to avoid the #1 cruise illness, steer clear of germs that cause colds and flus, and the trick to beating seasickness before it even starts. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. One of the biggest concerns from both first-time cruisers and seasoned cruisers is, how can I avoid getting sick on a cruise? And let's face it, the absolute worst feeling while being on a vacation is having to deal with a virus, a cold, or a stomach ailment. Now, in this video, I'll be sharing some practical information that you'll want to know before you go on a cruise, as well as some useful tips and tricks from real cruisers. And while I can't guarantee it'll work for everyone, I'll share how I stay healthier on a cruise as well. Now, before I get started, I wanted to mention two things. Firstly, these tips come from real cruisers, and I'd love to hear from you as well. So any of the tips that you have that have worked for you, please leave them in the comments below, because the comments will themselves become a resource. And secondly, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Neurovirus. Well, Neurovirus is definitely the most heard about and the most reported on in the news. But what is Neurovirus, and how likely are you to catch it on a cruise? So firstly, Neurovirus is a highly contagious virus that causes gastro-like symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, and stomach cramps. And it spreads through contaminated water or food, direct contact with an infected person, or touching contaminated surfaces. Now, the good news is, while cruise ships occasionally experience outbreaks of Neurovirus and other illnesses, the overall risk to passengers remains quite low. Now, I am going to share with you how to prevent it, but I did also want to share with you some recent outbreak statistics from the CDC. Now, according to the CDC's Vessel Sanitation Program, which monitors gastrointestinal illness outbreaks on cruise ships calling at all U.S. ports, in 2023, there were 14 outbreaks reported. In 2024, there were 16 outbreaks on cruise ships reported, but the highest in a decade. And in 2025 so far, there have been 6 outbreaks reported. Now, keeping in mind that there are over 30 million cruisers who sail annually, these figures represent a small fraction of the cruise ships that are sailing. Now, cruise lines do implement strict sanitation protocols and collaborate with health authorities to manage and prevent outbreaks. However, on cruise ships, both the passengers and crew are in somewhat close quarters, and there is a quick turnover of passengers between disembarkation and embarkation. All right, now that we got that out of the way, how do we stay healthy on board? Now, I think that we've all heard about hand hygiene and how we need to wash our hands, and truthfully, this is a biggie. But beyond that, there is more. So let's start with your cruise cabin. Now, many cruisers said that one of the first things that they do when they enter their cruise cabin, and I am this way myself too, is they take time to disinfect their cabin. And it only needs to take maybe 5 minutes. Take some Lysol wipes and go over some of the main touch points in your cabin. Now, that can include your doorknobs, your balcony lock and opener. I even go over all of the knobs. You can go over your faucet in your bathroom, your TV remote, your light switches, and the surfaces on your desk, vanity, and night tables. Now, this doesn't mean that your cabin attendant is not doing a great job cleaning, but this might just give you a little bit of extra peace of mind. Now, something else to think about is when you're walking up and down the stairs, there's going to be the handrail. Now, if you are touching the handrail, make sure that you are not touching your face afterwards. Now, something that I try to do is I avoid touching the handrail that is along the hallways on many cruise ships. Now, if you're taking the elevator, you may want to avoid touching the buttons with your fingers. What you can do instead is, some people say they use their knuckle, and other people say that they use a Kleenex that they keep in their bag. Now, when it comes to the buffet, of course, wash your hands before going into the buffet. You may also want to use the hand sanitizers. Now, something really interesting about buffets is oftentimes if a cruise ship has had a sort of gastrointestinal outbreak, is they will go from a self-serve buffet to a crew-served buffet. So for me, this is always something that I prefer. Now, not all cruise ships have a full-serve buffet, so if you do need to use tongs to serve yourself, just avoid touching your face, your nose, your eyes. Now, some cruisers have shared that they actually use disposable gloves when they are in a buffet. Personally, I don't do that, but other cruisers share that they bring a small personal bottle of hand sanitizer that you can use right at your table. Now, something else that I do that not a lot of people talk about is I avoid using the public washrooms. And, obviously, if you really need to go, you need to go. But usually your cabin is not that far away from many places on the cruise ship. So if you need to go to the bathroom, consider going to your cabin instead of using the public washrooms. Oh, and I actually had this conversation with my husband, Frank, just before I filmed this video. I do find that when I'm in the washroom with other women, that most people are actually washing their hands. It's rare that I don't see that. But he actually told me that it's not uncommon to see in the men's bathroom that not all men are washing their hands. Well, so it's a good idea either way to take a paper towel and to use that to open up the bathroom door when you leave. Now, while Neurovirus gets most of the attention in the news, it's not the only potential illness that you do need to be wary of. Colds, flus, and other respiratory illnesses. Now, I don't know why, but a cold doesn't bother me that much when I'm at home. But if I happen to get a cold or a cough while I'm on vacation, it really, really bothers me. And in particular, when you're on a cruise, let's face it, you can't just go out to any pharmacy. So you really do want to not only prevent this, but also have what you need just in case you have to deal with it. Now, keep in mind that on the way to the cruise, you'll likely be traveling, maybe going through a crowded airport or sitting on a crowded airplane. So here are a few tips that have helped me and that have helped other cruisers. So one of the things that I like to do is try to see if I can boost my immunity a little bit before my cruise. Now, what I do is I often take Cold Ease, or if I don't have Cold Ease with me, or I buy it on Amazon. But what I've started to do is regularly, with my regular vitamins daily, is I will take Zinc. Now, I have to say, something that I found is that if I take Zinc on an empty stomach, I will get a little bit of nausea. So I do have to take it with a little bit of food. Now, other people shared that they take other immune boosters like Airborne, Zcam, or Emergency. If you take any of these or even something else, please leave your own recommendations down in the comments below. Now, by the way, not only do I take Zinc before my cruise, like starting at least a couple of weeks before, but I will take it daily during my cruise. And if I start to feel like I'm having a bit of a scratchy throat or a little bit of a sinus cold or something coming on, I'll take it right away, and so do the members of my family. And it seems like over the last year or so, it's really been helping. Now, by the way, if you're planning a cruise and you want to make sure that you stay organized and do not forget a thing, I do have the LifeWell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner. Now, the LifeWell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner is a 47-page downloadable printable cruise planner that you could use to stay organized from the time that you book your cruise all the way through embarkation and disembarkation. Now, it includes cruise packing lists, it includes shore excursion planning forms, cruise outfit planning forms, cruise budget planning forms, and more. If you are interested in seeing what's included in the LifeWell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner, I'll leave all of the information linked down below in the description of this video in case you do want to check it out. Now, when you're traveling through the airport, try to have some disinfectant wipes in your handbag or your carry-on bag, and anywhere that you're going to be sitting, even when you're sitting in the waiting area or the lounge before your flight, it's a good idea to wipe those handrails. Now, on the plane, you can also use those disinfectant wipes to wipe the armrests and your seatbelt buckle. Now, something that I started to use recently is the airplane pocket. I always did wipe down my tray before, but the airplane pocket I honestly think is even better. Now, I don't have my hand go into the pocket of the seat in any way. You know, sometimes people can be putting dirty Kleenexes in there or anything else. So I do really find that this is much more sanitary. Now, by the way, if you don't have airplane pockets already, I'm going to leave a link to them down in the description below this video. They have become a very popular travel essential, and they truthfully are one of the best things that I have bought this year. Now, once you're on the cruise ship, the same thing like we talked about before, in your cabin, do a bit of a quick wipe down and disinfection of your cabin. I think that you will have some peace of mind and you will find that it is cleaner. And a very practical tip, if you hear somebody coughing, maybe they're in the row in front of you when you're watching a show at the theater, consider moving. We've actually done that before when we were in a specialty restaurant. There was a table where some people were coughing quite a bit, and I quietly spoke to the maitre d' and I asked if we could change tables. I didn't want to cause a scene, but I also didn't want to sit in such close proximity if somebody was really sick. And many people shared that they try to stay off the crowded elevators. So if you could walk just up a deck or 2 or 3, try to avoid those crowded elevators. And in particular, if somebody is coughing on the elevator or seems to have a cold in some way, you could always breathe right into your sleeve or your shirt, or worst case, hold your breath. Now, let's face it, everybody wants to prevent getting sick, but what happens if you do start to get sick? Well, you want to make sure that you are prepared. So you want to make sure that you do have certain medicines. Now, that includes cough medicine. It's a good idea to bring day and night. You'll want to bring your throat lozenges. You want to bring any cough drops or cough medicine. Now, something to keep in mind is those over-the-counter medications might not be available on your cruise ship, and you probably don't want to have to go see the doctor. It is going to be a little bit expensive if you need those basic items on your cruise. And if you do find yourself getting a little bit sick, take a day or two and rest a little bit more. Go to sleep a little bit earlier, wake up a little bit later. And by the way, the sea air can really help. So if you have a balcony, go out onto your balcony or stay on the top deck and let your body recuperate. And eat healthy and get your vitamins. One of the great things about cruises is the fact that there are so many fresh fruits available. So grapefruits, oranges, and other fruits that have vitamin C and more. Foodborne illnesses. Now, the good news is that cruise ships take food safety very seriously, but you do really want to watch to make sure that you don't get food poisoning when you're in a cruise port of call. Now, how do you prevent it? Well, be very picky when it comes to what restaurant you choose to eat at, and in particular at certain ports. Personally, I often avoid street food, in particular if it is meat, fresh fruit, or vegetables. Now, when it comes to restaurants, it's a lot easier these days to read reviews, but you can also ask on the cruise ship, maybe a crew member that works in one of the stores. You can ask where the crew members often go and recommend. And make sure that you do bring bottled water either from the cruise ship or that you buy bottled water in a store. In most cases, you want to avoid drinking the local water unless you're sure it's safe. Now, just in case, I do have some suggestions of things that you want to put in your medicine kit. So one of them is Tums or Pepto-Bismol, basically anything for a stomach ailment. And in general, by the way, something to pack in your medicine kit is anything that has to do with your stomach. And this includes both an anti-diarrhea medication as well as a laxative. Heat stroke and sunburn. Now, this is not talked about often enough, but you really do want to watch it, in particular on Caribbean cruises. The sun is so much hotter, it seems, when you're out on the water, and it happens to many people, even if they think they have a little bit of a base, that they do get a sunburn. So I have a suggestion. It is this aloe vera. I love this aloe vera. It is non-sticky and it really does seem to work well. It's organic, by the way. So this is the aloe vera that I always travel with. And this way, if we get a little bit too much sun one day, we just put that on right away and it does really seem to work. And by the way, I'll leave that aloe vera as well as other cruise essentials. I'll leave them linked down below in the description of this video. Now, make sure as well that you are wearing a sunscreen and that you do reapply. Now, heat stroke is also a potential problem, especially when you're up on the Lido deck. You may not realize that you're out in the direct sun for many, many hours, or even when you're in a cruise port of call. So do take a little bit of a break, go into the buffet or to the interior of the ship, take a little bit of a break from the sun and get some good old AC. And don't forget to keep hydrated with water, and also something that a lot of people bring on a cruise is liquid IV. Motion sickness. Now, you always just want to make sure that you are prepared in case you do get motion sickness. However, these days, cruise ships are big and seasickness is less common, but truthfully, sometimes the seas are a little bit more rough and it can happen. So you do want to be prepared. Now, something that we always do is we bring Bonine or Bonine. We just find that that helps a lot. It's an over-the-counter. Let me just show you an over-the-counter medication. It's not going to be for everyone, so you may want to speak to your physician to see what is best for you. But this, when I take it, it doesn't make me drowsy. So this is personally my favorite over-the-counter medication. But you might want to use a patch behind your ear. A lot of people swear by that. or a C-band on your wrist. Now that works with acupressure, so it's actually a natural remedy as well. Now, something that somebody told me about recently is the relief band. Now, I have not tried it, and it's not an inexpensive remedy. This is, much less expensive, but the person who told me about the relief band told me that it made all the difference for him, even with smaller cruise ships. Now, if you've ever used the relief band, please do let me know down in the comments below. Now, if you're looking for other natural remedies, and honestly, these really do work, a green apple. It seems like there is something in the green apple, the pectin or something, and the acid that actually does help with your stomach. So that's something really good. And the other thing is just good old ginger. Let's face it, we've all heard about ginger ale. So ginger ale, candied ginger, like tummy drops, that really works as well. Hangovers. Now let's face it, especially if you have the drink package on a cruise, it is possible that you may drink a little bit too much and that you do get a hangover. So some things that you do want to do is, obviously try to prevent getting that hangover by not taking the 15 drink a day challenge. But, something like just having, what my husband says is he drinks a glass of water before bed if he drank a little bit more than usual on a cruise. But the other thing is liquid IV, so that can really help as well. Now, I'll leave a link to the LifeWell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner down below in the description of the video, as well as all of the different items that I did mention in this video. I will leave them down in the description, as well as a pinned comment as well. But I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know your concerns, your questions, and as well, please let me know your tips on how you stay healthier on a cruise. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.